Hi, in this video I'm going to walk you through how to use the ExamView test generator to create a test that can be imported into your Moodle course. Let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is open up ExamView and start by creating a new test using the wizard. You can also start this process by using a test that you have already created or create a new test from scratch. I'm going to name this test based on the unit of questions that I'm importing into Moodle. I only recommend using a unit, a standard, or a chapter worth of questions at a time. I've named it ExamView Import to keep it separate from any previous tests I may have created for Chapter 1. Now I need to look where to get questions from. If your textbook came with an ExamView test bank of questions, you should find it here. If you do not have a test bank of questions for your textbook, then you can create a test from scratch. Oof. Hi, in this video I'm going to walk you through how to create an ExamView test that can be imported into your Moodle course. Let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is to have my ExamView test generator open. You can start using a wizard, you can start a new test from scratch, or you can start from an existing test. Either way will work. I'm going to start creating a new test from the wizard. I'm going to name my test to reflect what I am trying to import, and I recommend only importing a standard or a unit or a chapter of information at a time. I'm going to name it to reflect that this is an import into my Moodle course, not a general test that I might use in class, because I will probably be creating more questions than normal on this test. I will select next. If your textbook series came with an ExamView bank of questions, you will find it in here. If you don't have a bank of questions, you'll want to go back to the beginning of this process and create a test from scratch and write your own questions in ExamView. I'm going to use geometry as my example and say open, and I want this in English, and I'm going to select just my chapter 1 information and then say next. And these are the type of questions that are available through ExamView. I'm going to select them all because I know I can edit my test after I've created it and remove any questions that I don't like. I'll say next, review, and say finish. So now it's creating my test for me. And I'm going to review my test and see if there are questions that I would like to remove or duplicate or edit. So maybe I look at this question and I think this isn't really the way that we did it in class, so I'm going to just select a question and say delete and remove it from my test because I know I would never use it. There's no point in importing it into Moodle. I might find a question that uses vocabulary and I would like to change the vocabulary. So maybe I'll find one here. Maybe I want to use the word cube instead here as an example, and then I say record. So you can change the questions. You can also duplicate questions. If I like this question here and I want more options like it, I can select the question and under question in the menu say duplicate, or I can just select the question and use Control D. So I'm going to click on here and say Control D, and you'll notice I get a question that is similar but has different values. If I say Control D again, I'll get another question that is similar but with different values. This can be nice because what we're trying to do is build a question bank in Moodle, and this will give you options if you need to retest later to choose from. Once I have the number of questions I would like to import into my question bank, I'm going to go to File, there we go, File, and export this as, here we go, a Blackboard 7.1 Plus. The first menu is going to ask where I would like the file to go, and I'm going to put it on my desktop so I can find it real quick and then delete it later. And I'm going to name the file name the same way I named the test to keep things easy. So Chapter 1, ExamView, Import. And say Save. And again, I'm going to name it the same, Chapter 1, ExamView Import. I'm going to copy that using Control-C and paste it down here for my directory. And the zip file is now being created and placed on my desktop for this test. While that's being created, you can go to Moodle and you can log into your course. Once you're logged into your course, if you plan on creating a quiz right away, you want to turn your editing on and go to Add an Activity or Resource and create the quiz, and you can import the questions from there. I'm not creating a quiz right away. The purpose of this is to create a question bank. So if you look under your administration block, which may be in a different location than mine depending on your theme, you'll find question bank. Expand your question bank and you'll see you have 4 options: questions, categories, import, and export. Now, if you would like to, before you start using this whole process, under categories, you can create categories for each one of your chapters, units, or standards. Or as we perform the import, it will create the category for you based on the name of the file. So when I named my file Chapter 1 ExamView Import, it's going to create a category named Chapter 1 ExamView Import. Another way I could approach this is I could go through ExamView and pick all the questions that work for a particular standard and name the file that standard. So maybe that standard was like, 5.MGC.11. It would name my category that same name, and I would have only questions in it for that standard. Okay, so let me show you what this looks like. I'm just going to go to import and let it create the category naturally in the process. As I import, I remember that I created a Blackboard import, and now I'm going to go to General and expand this menu, and the default category, will be set, but if I keep these 2 checked right here, it's going to create a new category based on the name of the file. So I'll have a category named Chapter 1 ExamView Import. You don't need to change anything else on here. Now you can go to choosing your file. I will select Choose File, and then I put mine on my desktop so I could find it. I'll look right here and I find Chapter 1 ExamView Import. And the file is listed right here. And I'm going to say upload this file. Once I verify that the file now is in my import field, I will click import. It takes a few moments for the import to occur. It's a lot of information. One of the great things about the newer versions of Moodle versus say about 5 years ago is if you have questions coming in with images, the import attaches the image directly to the question. If you try to do this process about 5 years ago, the import came through with the questions and the pictures separately, and you had to go back through and connect them all. All right, so here's my question, and if you see in these brackets, .jpeg files, those are the images being imported and connected directly to those questions. These are all the questions that I want, and I'm going to say continue. And you'll notice that under the category, it has made me a new category listed as Chapter 1 ExamView Import. And I can see all of my questions here now. So the import has been completed. Once I import all the questions, if I want to move any of them to another category, if I decide it fits somewhere else better, I can check the box. Let me get to the spot. I can check the box next to any question, and at the bottom of the screen, I can say move to, and then move that question to another location. Another nice thing to know is that if you file your questions away under your categories for the entire course, say your advanced placement science, if you're in the science department on Moodle, all the science teachers should be able to access those questions as well. So as a department, you can build a really rich bank of questions using ExamView for everyone to use, and not all of you have to do this process of importing and exporting. I hope this walked you through the process with enough detail. If you would like me to work with you individually on how to do this or how to create questions directly in Moodle, you can give me a call. Thank you.